But why do people actually get married in real time, especially in Africa? Data that we saw had to do with sex. That was like number one, access to sex, regular, steaming, every night sex. Second, next to it, we saw security, especially on the part of women, to secure some kind of like financial support from a man. And then we saw status that, okay, this is going to make me, I'm married or whatever. On the part of men, we saw promotion, that marriage would like maybe affect how they were viewed by their peers in terms of work promotions. Hello, darlings. So I made this video first on Facebook Live, but then I was just seeing a lot of glitches, technical glitches, and I had to come back and make it again. This time as a pre-recorded video. So the things we do for you. My name is Maya, in case you don't know, and this is Enchanting Life Internet Foundation, community-based foundation that provides child welfare resources and services, mental health resources, and youth aid where we can. Be sure to become a member on our Patreon so that you can get more exclusive content on mental health, motivation, and child welfare, and also if you're a young person, of course. So without further ado, I want to keep this presentation under 10 minutes, I think, hopefully. Okay, maybe 10 to 15 minutes because it's a long topic. But today's topic is going to be answering the question, is marriage an achievement? So to quickly dive in, if you were to ask on Google, why do people get married? You would see that it is to create a secure environment in which to raise a child and to demonstrate, a couple's commitment legally to each other. But why do people actually get married in real time, especially in Africa? One of the last things you are going to hear is about creating security for raising a child. I think many people in Africa, that's the last thing on their mind. So we did this random survey, just like print up questionnaires just to get to the heart of what was really going on in people's mind. And we saw the data that we saw had to do with sex. That was like number one, access to sex, regular, steaming, every night sex. Second, next to it, we saw security, especially on the part of women, to secure some kind of like financial support from a man. And then we saw status that, okay, this is going to make me, I'm married or whatever. On the part of men, we saw promotion, that marriage would like maybe affect how they were viewed by their peers in terms of work promotions. We saw all these things that have nothing literally psychologically to do with the reason why people should actually commit to themselves in marriage. Now, this is not here to bash. We're just doing this video to raise awareness so that some people also choose to get married because they don't want to be alone. They're scared to be alone. And that is one of the most significant part of this video, where we get to it as we go on. And I'm going to be talking a bit fast because I'm working with time. All right, so let me just put it out there that, first of all, the length of a marriage does not determine its success. So a marriage could have lasted 20, 50 years, but if it was a marriage that was toxic, that, a partner was hitting one partner, beating one partner, a child is being abused, that's definitely not a definition of a successful marriage. In fact, when you go on, there was a 2019 study published on Harper Bazaar where it was said that the most happy, like the people who are now the happiest, are single, unmarried young women. And obviously this study is based on ladies outside of Nigeria, outside of Africa, because in Africa, obviously the dynamics are different, and that is why we're making videos like this to help people understand that you can be happy alone. And in fact, it is fundamentally important that you master the art of being happy on your own before you finally decide to wed someone. So if you thought this was going to be a bashing video to say don't get married, no, 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 my darling, that's not what this video is about. It's about raising self-awareness on how important marriage is and the level we should put it in our lives, and what we should be willing to sacrifice and not sacrifice in order to either stay married or get married. So that's the point of the video. Now, in fact, we have a book called Underneath the Ring, which we'll be sharing for our Patreon members alone. It's only $3 to be a Patreon member. You can use the link below to access that page that talks about some of the many atrocities that happen on the way to getting the ring, and while being linked together with the ring, not just domestic violence where a woman is being beaten by a man, but also abuse of children, right? And there are also women who think that, oh, if your husband is not beating you, it's because he does not love you. Honey, if you are that woman and you're watching this video and you have that mindset, let me just quickly tell you right now that you are not okay. I have two sides. I have my counseling soft side and I have my harsh side. So I'm just going to give it to you straight up. You are not okay. You are suffering from what is called trauma bonding Stockholm syndrome. And I definitely recommend that you go and become a patron right now so that you can find out how to heal that, because that is not an okay thought. If a man is punching you and you're okay with it, it's because you don't value yourself. Point blank, period. You don't love yourself. You hate yourself. And that is why he is punching you. Do you know what it is to punch someone and then punch something? Do you know how, like, I do boxing as a way of, regulating my emotions, and just because I love to be a little bit into the exercise mood like that. And when you punch something, it's like you're putting off all your emotions, all your negative emotions on that thing. So if a man is doing that to you and you think that is okay, I'm not the one telling you. This is just the psychological fact of it. You are suffering from trauma bonding and you have Stockholm syndrome, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. Now, in order to get into the conversation more in-depthly, I want everyone watching this video right now to just ask themselves these questions all throughout the video. Is marriage your biggest aspiration in life? Is that what you think, that when you have it, that's it, you will be happy? And if that is the truth, if that is it for you, I want you to ask yourself why you think that is it. Why you think that you cannot have other things, including marriage, maybe, that will make you happy. Why you think it has to be marriage? In other words, it has to be someone else attached to you. Some women, it's just even marriage because sometimes the partner is not even there. Maybe the partner is in another country and then they are here wearing the ring, like, oh, look, I'm married. Ask yourself why that is so important to defining your self-worth, because everything we are about in this foundation is helping people to develop and increase their self-worth and their self-esteem and the value that people give to them and that they give to themselves in life. Now, I don't know if you people know of the Joe Broderick story. I don't know if it's Jennifer Broderick story on Oprah Winfrey, about a woman who marriage was her biggest aspiration in life, and then she found this man. She helped him build a career, and then he left her for a younger woman, and she ended up killing him and the other woman. It's a long story, but I will put the link below if you're interested in watching it. But I think it's something that people should watch just to help ground your mindset and really answer that question within your soul, that is marriage your biggest aspiration, and why that is. No one is here to tell you what to do or what not to do. You have the answer at the end of the video. But why you think, what has happened to you that makes you think that without another person or without the status of marriage in society, you cannot be okay. And I'm not talking about common partnerships, common law partnerships that they do abroad. I'm talking about the idea that if I don't have a ring on my finger, either as a man, as a woman, that something is wrong with you, or that you're not good enough, you're not worthy. To quickly move on, I'm going to talk quickly about the story. I want to tell you guys a story. So this is the story of my friend. I wanted to call her name. I did call her name live on Facebook, but then I thought, okay, this is not a good idea. Better to not call her name. But she'll know herself when she listens to this video. So we were just talking in a salon, and then she said something about Tonto DK. I don't know the details. I'm not really a celebrity tagger, but then she said, you know what? That's why she could not stay in her marriage. And when we were talking, there was a woman in front of us and another man, and both of them were divorcees. So I said to her, oh no, that is not nice. How could you say that about another person? And then she realized she had said the wrong thing, because most times this thing is subconscious. But before she made that realization, she said, but her ex-husband has celebrated 1 year anniversary with another woman. So some people may actually be watching this thinking that right now that, okay, when people break up, the person who leaves and has another successful relationship is the healthy one. Oh my goodness. People really need to catch up on mental health issues in Africa, because I'm not saying this is the case with Tonto DK and her exes, because I don't know their story, but I'm just saying that normally in counseling, when two people are in a long-term relationship and it breaks up, the person who leaves really rapidly quickly is usually the one who was the abuser. What I mean is, let me say you dated someone for 10 years and then you broke up, and then 2 weeks later or 2 months later, he's marrying someone else. Most of the time, that's the abuser, because the person, the victim, would have to actually heal, and it takes a lot of time to heal before they can marry someone else. But the abuser doesn't have any wound. All right. So myself, I've been on the verge of marriage several times, but I'm going to highlight just one time. So from when I was a teenager, people always told me, like, I have always believed in seeking mentors and seeking advice from people who are older than I am, and maybe that's why people call me like an old soul. I'm always acting much more older than my real age. So people always told me, "Oh, you need to get married. Find someone, find someone, find someone." It was a problem to be single. Like when I left one relationship, I had to like immediately get into another and whatnot. But then one time, I almost got married to this guy because I thought, okay, I was doing the proper thing, and he was like everything I wanted in a lot of ways. Fantastic guy. It's just I had a really hot temper. When I almost married him, I really would have been that bag, eh? But my inner spirit, the inner guidance in me, which is why you should always listen to your voice. The inner voice just didn't want me to have that relationship as a marital relationship. And when people were pressuring me to say yes to the next person, I said, you know what? No, I'm going to say yes to myself and no to him. And I don't want to date anybody. You know what? I want to date myself. I want to take myself out on dates. I want to go out on dinner by myself. I want to have fun by myself. I want to know what I like. I want to know myself. And that turned out to be one of the most important decisions I would ever make in my life, because I found out a lot of things about myself and that I had one particular like quality that actually brought some certain sort of people towards me, and I had to learn how to protect myself. If I hadn't learned all of that, I really would have not probably been here today. That is how important it is to know yourself. And so today when I go on dates and I tell the people I'm with, I'm like, oh, I want to go here. Oh, I like this. And they're like, oh, you seem to know yourself so well. You are so confident. And I'm like, yes, sure. I've been dating myself for some months now. And am I saying that when you take the journey to date yourself that you should not date other people, or you should not go out on dates? Absolutely, you can go out on dates, but going out on dates is different from being in a relationship. Answering a call morning and night, how are you, where are you, all of that is very different. So you can explore all of that, of course, while you are finding yourself, because sometimes when you explore that, you also use it to know yourself. But it's different from committing yourself to one person and being in a relationship with that person, either in a relationship or in marriage. That's the point I'm trying to make. And now that brings me to that story, just to let you know that I've also walked the journey. Brings me to the next part of what I want to talk about. That everything I'm talking about here with you today, dear ones, is something that any psychologist worth his money will tell you. From Oprah to any of them, they will tell you that before you enter into the union of marriage, you should spend some time dating yourself and getting to know yourself. The wonderful question is that if this is science, because psychology is science and 2 plus 2 in science always equals 4, what then is going on in Africa? Why is the science not getting to Africa? Why are African parents, African people consistently barraging people with questions of why are you single? What's going on? Why don't you want to get married? Even when I tell people who ask me that, you know what, I cannot date you right now. I'm busy with my study. Like, what are you trying to say? Tell me if you're dating someone else, I will understand. Or maybe because I don't have money enough. But no, that's not the reason. The real reason is because I'm actually busy with myself. Now, African parents, Africans really need to catch up on this. I kid you not, I'm going to put screenshots on this video of people who actually come into my DM and ask me these questions. Why, when are you getting married? Why are you single? And that is such a rude question, because nobody should actually force anything on anybody. And if you take nothing from this video, take the fact that nobody should force you to get married unless you're ready for marriage. So this is something that Africans definitely need to catch up on, that It's important to get to know the self. We should stop hiding behind this our marriages last long thing, because our marriages last long, if we go underneath the ring, underneath that marriage, and begin to dig at things that are happening in that marriage, we'll discover that it's actually not marriage. And if the marriage is not healthy, then that's definitely not even an accomplishment and much less an achievement. And so we'll move on to the next part. There is a reason though why people are so interested in forcing people and so triggered by seeing other people happy and single, and so wanting other people to be merged together. And I'm so glad I've been asking people before I started this series about their marriage experiences, and some of my mentors have been honest with me to say that, you know what, I thought it was an achievement before I got married, and that was why I wanted you to do it too, but now I see that it's not. So Maya, take your time and find yourself. Truly, it's important to do that, because not finding yourself means that most times you might marry the wrong person. If I had married the person I wanted to marry back then, that definitely was the wrong person for me. And later on, you find out, oh my gosh, I think I married the wrong person. And then you start seeing people divorcing in their 40s and their 50s. Because why? They married before they found their true soul. Now, the self is always evolving, that is true, but there are some fundamental elements that make us that can never change. And it's important that you meet that person before you mate with another person in a long-term commitment like marriage. Now, what is the condition that forces people to want to not be alone, to always want to like hook onto someone else from one relationship to the other and blah, blah, blah? We are talking about codependency. Codependency. I cannot go into the details of codependency here, but we'll be sharing that content with our patrons at Patreon. But I can read something from you. I'm not sure if I'm free to read this, so I hope if she sees it, she doesn't mind. What I'm reading is from Melanie Tonia Evans's Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program. I cannot give this book, I cannot give anyone access to this book. If you want it, you're going to have to buy her program, but I can just read this. She says this. She says, a codependent person is someone who feels that their life, part of the things that make someone codependent, feels that their life has no worth or has less worth because they don't have a partner. That's one. This person always feels scared, alone, anxious, empty when they are not in a relationship with another person. So I'll just read the last one. A codependent person will stay attached to people, situations, and even marriages, even when they know that they are becoming uncomfortable, drained, damaged, hurt. That is also a symptom of codependency. And my goodness, so many people are codependent in Africa today. We're just passing these things from father to mother to siblings and all of that, because we think that that is the way it is supposed to be. No, honey, that's not the way that it is supposed to be. And I do hope that you check out the Patreon, where we are going to post the exclusive contents on how to heal and actually come out of codependency, if that's what you are, and even to find out if that's what you are or not, because it's really important. If you are codependent, you really end up attracting something to you or someone to you that you're not going to like. So it is this pandemic of codependency that is pushing people into relationships, even when they know that they're not happy with it. They know that they're not happy in that space. And then you also have people going into a relationship. They might not be codependent, but they've not taken the time to explore who they are. They don't know their deal breakers. They don't know their boundaries. They don't know what's okay for them. They don't know what's not okay for them. They're just in the relationship because they hope that their partner is going to make them happy. But what are deal breakers anyways? What are boundaries? We cannot answer these questions in this video. To take too much time. Once again, Patreon would be the best place to answer it. And we will be launching Patreon on Sunday, but you can become a member right away. Now, these are some facts that I want to give in order to conclude this video and to emphasize on why it is so important to have the correct view of marriage.